The demolition of this viaduct over the St Leven's Valley of Plymouth in 1986 signalled the end of any hope of ever reopening the old Southern Region rail link from Devonport Junction to St Budo, which officially closed to passenger traffic on the 7th of September 1964. Since the latter part of the 19th century, the London and South Western Railway Company, later known as the Southern Region, had linked Plymouth with London Waterloo, crossing part of the Dartmoor National Park on the way. To many people, rail travel to Devon and Cornwall was usually linked to the trains of the Great Western. Yet in truth, the Southern Region had their large network of lines reaching into Cornwall. It served the major towns of East and North Devon, along with the smaller towns of Devonport and Plymouth on the South Devon coast. As far back as 1860, the LSWR had reached Exeter via its main line from Waterloo, Salisbury and Yeovil, then to push onward via the Exeter to Barnstaple Railway and a new double-track route through mid-Devon to the town of Oakhampton. Then onwards, south, past the bleak countryside of the western outskirts of Dartmoor, to meet up with the Great Western, Tavistock and Lanson branch line at Lidford Junction. From there, the LSWR shared a mixed gauge line into Plymouth and on to their grand new terminus at Devonport, King's Road. In 1890, a new double-track route from Lidford linked the main line with the Devonport terminus via Tavistock, Bere Alston and the Tamar Valley. It was in 1891 that Devonport King's Road became a through station with the opening of Plymouth Friary on the 1st of July of that year. The Great Western Railway also reached into the heart of Dartmoor. From Plymouth Station, the train headed towards Yelverton through the Plym Valley, and from there through Tavistock south to Lanson on the fringes of the Great National Park. From Yelverton there was also a branch line, but after circumnavigating some very hard tours on Dartmoor, finally terminated at Princetown, where the station was considered to be one of the highest in England. This line closed in 1956. Followed by the closure of the Lanson branch in 1962, leaving the Southern Region as the only rail link across Dartmoor. But it is at Friary Station in the heart of Plymouth that our journey begins. Today a viaduct and a length of overgrown track is all that remains of the old one-time busy Plymouth terminus. From here, trains ran regularly from 1892 to 1951 to the Plymouth suburbs of Plymstock and Turnchapel. A locomotive depot and later a busy large goods yard enabled BR to use the station as the main parcels depot for the city until the mid-1980s, when the site was sold for commercial redevelopment. North Road Station, seen here in the 1940s, was a GWR mainline stop, but today is the terminus for the remaining line from Gunnis Lake through the Tamar Valley. Devonport King's Road, opened on the 18th of May 1876, became the headquarters of the Plymouth, Devonport and South Western Junction Railway from 1890 to 1922, finally to close in September of 1964. The first steam-hauled train to arrive at King's Road in 1876 was greeted with bands playing, crowds cheering and great rejoicing from the population of the three towns, Devonport, Stonehouse and Plymouth. 88 years later, at its closure, an almost empty DMU on its way to Exeter via Oakhampton was greeted by a single railwayman on duty at what was by then an empty, deteriorating shell of one of the most imposing stations in the Plymouth area. Today, the Plymouth College of Further Education dominates the site, although welcome traces of the days of steam still remain in the surrounding area. Until 1947, the next scheduled stop was Albert Road Halt, but with the closing of this small station, the train after crossing the St Leven's Viaduct entered Ford Station, a major stop for Devonport dockyard workers. From Ford, the train passed over a series of high viaducts and bridges on its way to St Budo, passing Camel's Head Halt on the way. Closed in 1942, the old station site remained almost untouched, and even the sign was prominent until the closure of the line. At St Budo Junction, the line met with the GWR on its way to Saltash in Cornwall, with a station at St Budo Ferry Road, whilst the Southern Region trains halted at the adjacent LSWR built station at St Budo Victoria Road, built in 1890. British Railways had planned to build a new joint station here in the 1950s, which could have served both lines, but the rundown of the railway system in the Plymouth area prevented such a move. Today, the trains from Gunnis Lake make their final stop here before joining the old GWR line to Plymouth at the junction just a half a mile up the track. It was from this very station that as a 12-year-old I caught the train daily to school near Kings Road, and the memory of the West Country class engines roaring into the busy Victoria Road down platform is still quite vivid in my mind. With the GWR crossing at the Royal Albert Bridge, the Southern Region line passes underneath on its way to the journey through the beautiful Tamar Valley. Today this line is still a major attraction for tourists and provides a much needed link to Gunnis Lake. To reach Tamerton Foliot, the train now passes over a small bridge at Tamerton Lake adjacent to Ernesettle. Opened in 1898, Tamerton Foliot Station was built on a headland with the River Tavy to the north and Tamerton Lake to the south. It was some 2 miles from the village and surrounded by beautiful woodland that was very little used after the war years, resulting in closure in 1962. Leaving Tamerton and Worley Woods, the train now passes over the Southern Line's 16-arch Tavy Bridge, spanning the River Tavy, where it meets the River Tamar. One of the prettiest and best kept stations on the line was Beer Ferrers, and even today the station retains its Southern Region character, serving the Tamar Valley line, with its old station buildings having been converted to a private dwelling house by Chris Grove. Together with a colleague, Bill Bailey, and having been smitten by the preservation bug, they have laboured since 1979 to recreate the heady atmosphere of the bygone country railway station with the added benefits of a regular BR service to the door. In 1991, Chris and Bill acquired the XRNAD Ernesettle 040 DM Hunslet shunter, built in 1944 from the Bodmin and Wentford Railway. After a complete repaint and mechanical and electrical overhaul, this engine is now operational on the privately extended line, where it is only a few miles from its original home. For the future, plans to expand the site into a railway museum are now underway, with the emphasis on offering hands-on experience through schools and other youth organisations to the younger generation, giving them an opportunity to handle the machinery of an age now past.